We've had the Game Awards, but now it's time for the PlayStation Trophy Awards, a night where we celebrate all the good and bad about trophy hunting. Trophy names and descriptions can often be quite funny, as they usually reference a movie or something from popular culture. Here are the games that went above and beyond and always made me smile whenever their trophies popped up. The nominees for Best Trophy Names of 2025 are... I really liked Split Fiction's trophy list, as it was packed with so many funny names and cool references to other games that whenever one popped up, I was excited to see what it was called and if I could understand the reference. The Cake Is Not a Lie and Sisters A Tale of Two Besties cleverly reference past games. Then there's the Snake Trophy, which is also a great reference to Metal Gear Solid, and what you actually do in the game ties into that really well. And in general, all of the trophy names are light-hearted, fun, and a bit quirky, which I think represents the actual game really well. Plus, I absolutely loved the Platinum name, It Took Two. Damn, that really should have been It Takes Two Platinum name, but I'm glad they got it in here anyway. I'm pretty sure 2025 saw the release of a trophy patch for Abe's Odyssey, which made me go back and finally play that PS1 classic on PS5. And after unlocking the platinum in that, I ended up going and platinuming Abe's Exodus, and I'm glad I finally played that on PS5, as the trophy names in it were pretty funny, with my favourite by far being the Victorious Secret Trophy, finding all of the secret areas in the game. That was such a good pun, it's just pure glass. The other trophies in the list are also kind of full with that sort of twisted, odd world humour. Cannonball was a trophy that made me chuckle, as it unlocked as Abe fell to his death down a large pit. The Respect the Grind trophy was another one that made me laugh when Abe died in a specific way. And there's also a fart mechanic in this game, which of course has its own trophy attached to it, called Auto Toxic Asphyxiation, for killing someone with the fart cloud. And I just think that's brilliant. Tomb Raider Remastered 4, 5 and 6 all had some great trophy names, but it was Angel of Darkness's trophy list that I liked the most, with trophies like Ghost in a Nutshell, Fast and Curious, Bet Girl and Super Lario all being great pop culture references and funny names in their own right. There was also a Snake Eater trophy, which unlocked when climbing a long ladder, which I thought was a nice touch and reference to Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, and they even had a great reference thrown in there for Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness itself, as it's become a bit of a meme, with the I Feel Stronger Now trophy for beating the game. Nice. The Precinct was a fun GTA-style game in which you play as a rookie cop that had some great trophy names, even if they didn't reference movies or shows that much. There were still names that I thought were clever and funny, with trophies like We're Gonna Need a Bigger Holding Cell, What Are You In For?, Coming in Clutch and Clean Slate, which was for flushing all of the station's toilets, being funny riffs that tied into the police theme of the game. Oh, and it did have at least one movie reference, though it wasn't Police Academy, unfortunately. No, it was weirdly Big Trouble in Little China, as there's a trophy called Big Trouble in Chinatown, which is a bit subtle, but I still got it. Victoria's Secret, that's brilliant. I love it. I love these trophy names, especially when they're really funny, but there can only be one winner. And the winner of the best trophy names of 2025 is... Of all of the games I played in 2025, for my money, Split Fiction definitely had the best trophy names. because each one of these fun, cute and quirky trophy names always made me smile and chuckle whenever I saw them pop up on screen, and I loved figuring out what they were actually referencing, whether it was a game like Metal Gear Solid or something else. It was always fun to see, and that platinum name, I'm sorry, but it's just pretty much perfect. It may be the wrong game, but it's still a perfect trophy because there's 2 people in Split Fiction that you control through the game, so It Took Two does actually work, and it's a nice reference to their last game, It Takes Two. So for me, yeah, these were the best trophy names of 2025. Split Fiction is a deserved winner. The Most Annoying Trophy Award shames those pesky trophies that really grind your gears or frustrate you due to how annoying they are to unlock. So here are the nominees for Most Annoying Trophy. The More Gas More Mess trophy in Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness was just an utter disaster for me, and a trophy that I spent hours trying and failing to unlock. You see, this trophy requires you to get through the level without using any healing items, the respirators to breathe, and you also have to kill all of the enemies in the entire level, some of which spawn in the rooms behind you after you've just gone through them, clearing them out of enemies, so you're always having to backtrack often to make sure you haven't missed anyone. But the problem is the building is filled with poisonous gas, so your health is constantly depleting. Adding to the pain is Angel of Darkness' wonky shooting mechanics, as the lock-on is unreliable at best, as some enemies will just go down in a few bullets, while others can take full clips, seemingly dodging your bullets as if they were Neo from the Matrix or something. And this just makes firefights really unpredictable, as they can go bad at the turn of a dime, resulting in you taking too much damage in an encounter or wasting too much time on a few enemies, which will just ruin your hopes of unlocking the trophy, as you'll probably die of poison before you even get to the end of the area. It took me countless attempts to get this one, and I realised I was failing it because I happened to heal once at the very start of this level, before this section of the level even started, which shouldn't really have counted against me, should it? But it did, and that's why this was super annoying. I found the look of the turtles in TMNT Mutants Unleashed to be just as annoying as I did in the movie, but what really peed me off when playing it was the Catch Them All trophy, finding all of the Digimutants, as it was a dumb collectibles trophy that implemented them into the game in the dumbest way possible. You see, these Digimutants are essentially just Pokemon characters that you can find in the game's hub worlds, with them often containing 2 per area, but it's the way in which you find them that was really annoying, because you have this like scanner handheld device that you need to equip, and then you have to move this cursor slowly around the screen to find them. But instead of doing it properly like you would think they would make it, where you just hold down a button and hover over the areas until it beeps like a metal detector, you instead have to move the cursor and press X to check a very small specific area of that screen in that location where it's pointing. And if it's not there, you have to wait for this animation to end before you can move the mouse cursor again and pick another area of the screen, so you're essentially just pressing the X button on every pixel of the screen until you find one of these hidden Digimutants there, making this a slow and clunky way to find them and a pain of a trophy to unlock. It's annoying because it's super specific where the Digimutants are before you can find them. You have to be dead on them, and it's just so slow to have to tap this button, watch this little cursor animate, and then move and do it all over again when you have no real clue of where they are. Like, it would be good if the Digimutants would like slightly shimmer or something so you could see the sort of general area where they were, but no, you're just aimlessly pressing on the screen until you just happen to find one. And some of the areas of the hub worlds are quite big, so they could sort of be anywhere, and you have no real clue because the sort of nearby indicator thing is just BS as well, because you could be nowhere near them and it will say you're right by them, and other times you can be like dead on them and it will say you're nowhere near them, so it's just crap. The whole thing is just broken and really annoying. And sure, it's pure luck, you might be lucky and get them straight away without really trying, but there's bound to be some that will just take way too many presses to find, and that is guaranteed to start to annoy you pretty quickly. The huge RNG grind to gather all of Purunga's Dragon Balls in Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero for the Come Forth Purunga trophy was one of the low points of the game, and it was such an unnecessary grind that it just felt like a big FU from the developer. Even when doing this fight here and ending it really quickly, it was still a massive grind that took me hours of replaying this fight over and over again in the hope that I would finally get awarded one of the random Purungan Dragon Balls, of which you need 7, yet most of the time I'd either get nothing for the fight or one of the other sets of Dragon Balls to just really annoy me some more. It was such a needless grind, and once I finally got all 7 and made that wish, I swore I'd never play this game again. Absolutely, 100% annoying. Because the wish itself wasn't even that good, and definitely wasn't worth the time I spent gathering all of those Dragon Balls. The other BS trophy in Nico Dorico, the golden trophy called What Did He Just Do, as this trophy requires you to beat the entire game with 0 deaths. So that means you'll have to beat all 28 levels and all 7 boss levels without ever dying once, because if you die just once in any of those levels, that is it. It is game over, as you have registered 1 death, and the trophy is now voided. Now, as this is a kids game, it's a fairly basic platformer that is a cross between Donkey Kong Country and Crash Bandicoot, and while it's nowhere near as hard as those, there are still a few tricky levels, and having to get through the entire game without dying is challenging. But the thing that makes this trophy really tough and rather BS is the fact that your deaths are permanent, so if you were to die in a level and then try and replay it from the map screen, it will still register that death even if you then went on to beat the level without dying, so you can never just mop up the levels you died in after a playthrough and get the counter down to 0. It always remembers every single death you've had. And another problem I have with this trophy is that the bonus stages count as a death if you fail them, even though you don't actually die in the level for failing the bonus stage. It's just stupid. These shouldn't void the trophy if you just fail a bonus stage, like you don't get enough to start in time. So if you're going for this trophy, make sure you avoid the bonus stages. And while the game can be beaten in probably like 2 to 3 hours, it's still a long time to go through being perfect without ever making any mistakes or having the game glitch out on you and just kill you outright, like I had a few times in some of the bosses. Which made the What Have We Just Done trophy really, really annoying. Oh dear, those trophies are making me get annoyed all over again just thinking about them. Well, it's time to crown the most annoying trophy of 2025. For me, the What Did He Just Do trophy in Nico Dorico was the most annoying trophy of 2025, because this is a cute Crash Bandicoot and Donkey Kong inspired platformer that on the surface looks like it'd be a pretty fun and easy platinum, but this one trophy ruins all of that, as it requires you to beat the entire game without dying once. That's nearly 30 levels and 7 bosses to beat, all without dying, which is quite a lot to be perfect all the way through without messing up. Oh, and make sure you don't go into any bonus levels, as if you fail them, that will count as a death when technically it isn't actually a death, which is super annoying. And I even cheesed this trophy by backing up my save to the PS Plus cloud after beating each level without dying, but even then there was a lot of reloads as I slowly but surely worked my way through the game without dying. And I'm really glad I chose to cheese this trophy too, because the game is quite glitchy and some levels can just break on you, forcing you to then quit out or just have to kill yourself to reset it, which will then void your trophy. Oy. And it's also easy to die in the levels anyway when you're running through a level because you might fall into a bottomless pit or have one of those cheap bosses that just take you out. This is definitely a tough trophy that only a few will bother going for, as it's just way too annoying. It's always satisfying when a trophy pops unexpectedly as you do something really cool in a game, and this next award celebrates that. Here are the nominees for the most awesome trophy moments of 2025. The Annihilator Trophy from Chronos The New Dawn. So this is a trophy you can unlock by defeating 5 enemies with a single arbalest round, and this is like a big ass weapon that you'll get in the game, and it's best to do it on these sort of weaker enemies in the game because they'll just drop easier, and this was a really good spot to get it, but it's just really cool. Look at it when it pops, such a cool moment. The You Are Not a Robot trophy in Split Fiction is part of a really cool sequence in the game that sees the 2 heroes in the sci-fi story on a Tron-style bike driving through the neon city, and player 2, who's the passenger on the bike, has to use their mobile phone and prove that they are not a robot. And this is those sort of capture, sort of I am not a robot tests that you have to do on various websites on your phone, where you have to maybe like tick all the boxes that have traffic lights or cones in them or something like that. And it's just all these awkward things that you have to do when like using technology, like scrolling down a user agreement that just takes ages, or typing in a code that you see and it just being really awkward to do, and it captures all the frustrations with those sort of things really well, I think, and it's just such a cool and fun part of the game, and having a trophy pop at the end of it was just a really nice touch, and the trophy name itself as well just plays into the whole thing that you're doing. You are not a robot, which is what you have to do with these things to prove you're not just some AI bot spamming whatever website you're going on. So yeah, it was a really cool thing, and it was a cool moment in the game as well because they jump off the bike as it explodes and the trophy pops. While Ghost of Yotai has some really boring trophies, it did have one really awesome trophy, the From the Hip trophy, which requires you to do a pistol parry in a standoff, and this is something that you'll have to unlock to actually get the ability to do this as part of your standoff. So the first part of the standoff is the sword slash, where you press triangle at the right time, then you have to wait for the second guy to attack him, and then the third guy you finish off with an R1 tap of your pistol, and it will unlock this cool trophy. I just had to include the Autotoxic Asphyxiation trophy in the most awesome trophy moments list because this is just a really cool moment. So Abe can drink this juice to make his farts really explodingly gassy, and you can possess the fart cloud and then control it and move it around the screen, and if you blow up Abe with your own fart cloud, you'll get that trophy. Well, I think you'll all agree those are some pretty awesome trophies, but as Highlander said, there can be only one, and so the winner of the most awesome trophy in 2025 is... For me, the You Are Not a Robot trophy in Split Fiction was the most awesome trophy moment in a game in 2025 because it's just such a really cool sequence in the game. Player 1 is controlling the bike, driving through the city, being chased by all the robots that are shooting at you, and it's quite a frantic scene as you sort of defy gravity and end up driving alongside building walls and all sorts, while ships and everything are just shooting at you, and you jump across and change gravity and all sorts, and it's just really cool sequence. And then player 2 has their own troubles as they frantically try and prove they're not a robot by doing all of these security checks on their phone. So they're clicking shapes and objects to point out like traffic cones kind of thing, and they're typing in codes and all sorts, and it's a really sort of like crazy sequence for both players, even though player 2's doing just this phone and they're sitting on there and all they can see is their phone, and player 1 seems to have the more crazy thing. Player 2's actions are still quite frantic and nerve-wracking because you're trying to do it really quickly in order to unlock this awesome trophy. Which is why, for me, the You Are Not a Robot trophy was the most awesome trophy I unlocked in 2020. This next award celebrates the toughest trophies that I've unlocked this year. Those really hard trophies that will be platinum blockers for most people and will make them give up on earning that platinum. So here are the nominees for the hardest trophy of 2025. The Cold Potato Trophy in Split Fiction requires you to complete the game show's side story without the bomb ever exploding once, and this one was actually really hard due to the fact that it required teamwork to get through all of the 7 increasingly difficult stages without the bomb exploding. Unlike It Takes Two, Split Fiction was the game that I couldn't platinum by myself, so having to rely on someone else who's maybe not necessarily as much of a gamer as I am to help me get this trophy proved to be quite tricky, and getting to grips with how they played and versus how I played proved to be a bit challenging here, especially when they could really give a crap about trophies and wanted to move on to play the rest of the game and see the rest of the story. So on each of these stages you have this giant bomb that is slowly counting down before it detonates, and in order to delay the detonation you have to successfully pass it to the other player by throwing it across the environment. So you always have to make sure you're sort of parallel with each other so you can throw it across the stage's obstacle courses safely to the other player without it hitting a wall and exploding. Throughout most of the stages, the 2 players would often split up, going down their own path through a similar yet sometimes different obstacle course, and it's up to you to sort of cooperate with that player, moving at the sort of same pace so that you can easily throw it to each other to prevent it from blowing up before you can then safely dump it into the container at the end of the course. Stage 4 was quite tough as there were lots of walls in the way and a few other gimmicks with the stage, and it took us quite a while to get the pattern down in that one. The final few levels, however, weren't as tough as Stage 4, especially that one with the giant enemy chasing you, so the game show is a little bit uneven with its difficulty. But if you want to have any hope of getting this trophy, you're going to need good communication with you and your partner to get this. And when my partner was a bit of a casual gamer at best, it did make this trophy tricky to unlock. Medal of Honor Frontline's hard mode proved to be a real intense challenge to get through in my quest for the tough as Audie Murphy trophy, as it really turns the gameplay on its head. It was no longer an action game, and instead it played more like a survival horror game where I was terrified of what lurked around each corner as I could die in just a few bullets. Thankfully there were still health packs throughout the levels, but if I did die it meant I'd have to restart at the very beginning of a mission as there were no checkpoints at all. That alone is what made this hard mode playthrough and the trophy so intense, knowing that if I made just one mistake my 20-minute plus run through a level was over and I'd have to start it from the very beginning. Honestly, I should have hated this trophy and playthrough, but in the end I actually loved it. Sure, it was tough, but the enemies were always in the same place each time, so once you learnt a level's layout it was definitely manageable if you took it slow and didn't rush encounters. Trust me though, there were some brutal levels, like that bar level where after getting off the truck this RPG guy's down the road who fires at you and could easily end your run if you didn't manage to kill him and the other bunch of soldiers that are all shooting you quick enough. The minecart level also took a few attempts, and there were a few glitches along the way with some of the levels when I was rescuing some VIPs, but on the whole it was very stable, just a tough trophy. Call of Duty Classics veteran playthrough for the War Hero trophy, however, was much more BS, but on paper it sounds easier. Unlike in Medal of Honor Frontline, You actually get checkpoints in this game, but there are no health packs at all in any of the levels, and if your health drops below a certain amount, the checkpoints won't save. This one was really annoying, as it's much easier to get hit in this game compared to Medal of Honor, as it often feels like each enemy has their own personal aimbot switched on, as they can just hit you from miles away as soon as you pop out of cover, taking large chunks of your health and wrecking your run. This took me several hours of failure, playing through levels over and over again, desperately trying to reach a checkpoint and get that save, and it's a trophy that just requires patience and mastery of the game, making this one of the harder trophies I unlocked in 2025, but boy did it feel good when I raised that flag and popped that trophy. Playing Japan on PlayStation 5, I often felt like Neo from the Matrix as I ran and jumped through the air in slow motion, shooting bad guys with an array of weapons and punching or kicking anyone who got too close to me. Yet, when playing Trepang on its Rage Mode difficulty, a difficulty that the devs tell you not to actually play, you are often reduced to a cowering, whimpering shell of a soldier who is scared of their own shadow and desperate to stay alive long enough to reach that next checkpoint. You see, while you still have the slow-mo, the cloak, and your entire arsenal to use against the enemies, their AI in this game is cranked up so high in Rage Mode that these enemies can just one-shot you from anywhere at a moment's notice. These guys have pinpoint accuracy, and in Rage Mode you can go from having a full health and armor bar to being dead in just a split second, and if you're somehow still lucky enough to survive the onslaught, you'll likely only have a sliver of health left as you feverishly slide across the map using your cloak and desperately trying to escape and find some more health and armor. Rage Mode is brutal, trust me. It's very, very hard. I died hundreds of times throughout this mode, and it took me hours upon hours to get through it. Oftentimes, Rage Mode will feel really unfair, and when you die suddenly out of nowhere, it can feel really BS. So, you're probably wondering why I bother to even pick this difficulty in the first place. Well, Rage Mode, of course, has a trophy attached to it, doesn't it? Called Unbreakable Will, which requires you to not only beat the game's campaign on Rage Mode, but also all 6 of the side missions on Rage Mode 2. Boy, I remember plenty of times when going for these trophies when I just thought it was going to be impossible and I would never unlock it and get the platinum, but I faced those challenges and beat them. And now, the final challenge to crown the winner of the hardest trophy of 2025. And that is, of course, Unbreakable Will in Trepang. Now this was a trophy that totally got me hooked on the game, and I obsessed about it from the moment I first looked at the trophy list until I finally unlocked the trophy itself. I was thinking about the insane mode run day and night, every day, as I played through it for about an entire week. Each day I would set goals of beating X amount of levels, and more often than not I'd surpass them and surprise myself at how well I did that day and how far I made it. Each and every mission was its own unique challenge, and while some were easier than others, it was still a brutal and a monumentally tough task to overcome them. I would often get stuck on encounters where I would just die over and over again within the first 3 or 4 seconds of the battle, not knowing how the hell I could get out of that jam that I found myself in. I would try all sorts, running away, using grenades, using weapons, hiding for cover, just going all out and blasting them, and nothing would work, and I would think, what the hell am I supposed to do? This is BS, but I kept going, and eventually I would find a way through the enemies, figuring out where I could go to survive and what I had to do then from then on, and bit by bit I would slowly piece up a strategy to get through that battle, and that was really prominent on the very final level of the story, where you're on the rooftop of the apartment facing off against wave of enemies that come down from all the helicopters. This was a really, really challenging level. I died here hundreds of times alone in this last battle, not knowing how I would beat it, but eventually I got through it. and unlock the trophy, and it's insane to think I actually did it when it's just so easy to die in this game. But this trophy was just honestly brilliant, and it's a great way to actually play the game, as it's just so intense, so scary and so heart pounding that each encounter, no matter how big or small, feels like you're going up against the game's final secret boss or something. It really does test your skills and reflexes, as one wrong move can be game over. So while it may not have come out in 2025, this for me was still the hardest trophy unlocked this year. Try it if you dare. And good luck, you're gonna need it. Trophy names and descriptions can often be quite funny, as they usually reference a movie or something from popular culture. Here are the games that went above and beyond and always made me smile whenever their trophies popped up. The nominees for Best Trophy Names of 2025 are... I really liked Split Fiction's trophy list, as it was packed with so many funny names and cool references to other games that whenever one popped up, I was excited to see what it was called and if I could understand the reference. The Cake Is Not a Lie and Sisters A Tale of Two Besties cleverly reference past games. Then there's the Snake Trophy, which is also a great reference to Metal Gear Solid, and what you actually do in the game ties into that really well. And in general, all of the trophy names are light-hearted, fun, and a bit quirky, which I think represents the actual game really well. Plus, I absolutely loved the Platinum name, It Took Two. Damn, that really should have been It Takes Two Platinum name, but I'm glad they got it in here anyway. I'm pretty sure 2025 saw the release of a trophy patch for Abe's Odyssey, which made me go back and finally play that PS1 classic on PS5. And after unlocking the platinum in that, I ended up going and platinuming Abe's Exodus, and I'm glad I finally played that on PS5, as the trophy names in it were pretty funny, with my favourite by far being the victorious secret trophy of finding all of the secret areas in the game. That was such a good pun, it's just pure class. The other trophies in the list are also kind of full with that sort of twisted, odd world humour. Cannonball was a trophy that made me chuckle, as it unlocked as Abe fell to his death down a large pit. The Respect the Grind trophy was another one that made me laugh when Abe died in a specific way. And there's also a fart mechanic in this game, which of course has its own trophy attached to it, called Auto Toxic Asphyxiation, for killing someone with the fart cloud. And I just think that's brilliant. Tomb Raider Remastered 4, 5 and 6 all had some great trophy names, but it was Angel of Darkness's trophy list that I liked the most, with trophies like Ghost in a Nutshell, Fast and Curious, Bet Girl and Super Lario all being great pop culture references and funny names in their own right. There was also a Snake Eater trophy, which unlocked when climbing a long ladder, which I thought was a nice touch and reference to Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, and they even had a great reference thrown in there for Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness itself, as it's become a bit of a meme, with the I Feel Stronger Now trophy for beating the game. Nice. The Precinct was a fun GTA-style game in which you play as a rookie cop that had some great trophy names, even if they didn't reference movies or shows that much. There were still names that I thought were clever and funny, with trophies like We're Gonna Need a Bigger Holding Cell, What Are You In For?, Coming in Clutch and Clean Slate, which was for flushing all of the station's toilets, being funny riffs that tied into the police theme of the game. Oh, and it did have at least one movie reference, though it wasn't Police Academy, unfortunately. No, it was weirdly Big Trouble in Little China, as there's a trophy called Big Trouble in Chinatown, which is a bit subtle, but I still got it. Victoria's Secret, that's brilliant. I love it. I love these trophy names, especially when they're really funny, but there can only be one winner. And the winner of the best trophy names of 2025 is... Of all of the games I played in 2025, for my money, Split Fiction definitely had the best trophy names. Because each one of these fun, cute and quirky trophy names always made me smile and chuckle whenever I saw them pop up on screen, and I loved figuring out what they were actually referencing, whether it was a game like Metal Gear Solid or something else. It was always fun to see, and that platinum name, I'm sorry, but it's just pretty much perfect. It may be the wrong game, but it's still a perfect trophy because there's two people in Split Fiction that you control through the game, so It Took Two does actually work. And it's a nice reference to their last game, It Takes Two. So for me, yeah, these were the best trophy names of 2025. Split Fiction is a deserved winner. Trophies in games are meant to be an exciting addition to a game to challenge players to do things they didn't think was possible. Maybe it's beating a game on a harder difficulty or doing some insane challenge, but these trophies offer none of that. Here are the most boring trophies of 2025. Speak with the Land has to be the most boring and pointless trophy in Ghost of Yotai, as it requires you to travel to 10 different special places within the world, marked by this very specific wooden sign, and either bow or play your musical instrument there. But of course, the game doesn't bother to mark these on your map whenever you've found them, or you've rode past one nearby, so it's something that you're going to have to use a guide online to watch a video in order to find them all. Because even when you do get to a signposted area, it's not immediately obvious what you're supposed to do here, as the signs are just really small and you'd have to get right up to them in order to see the image of a man bowing to even know what you're supposed to do. Because this whole trophy is just pretty vague and not very clear on what you're actually supposed to do. And the signs just look like background details. They're just these little wooden signs and they don't really stand out as a unique collectible item. And this is one collectible type in a game that is already really overpacked and stuffed with collectibles, and this one, in my opinion, just wasn't really needed at all. It's just pointless, because outside of unlocking the actual trophy, there wasn't seemingly any benefit to actually doing this. And the game even has more than 10 special locations in the world for you to do this at, but the trophy only makes you do 10, which makes me think that the devs realised as they were developing the game that this collectible type wasn't really working out, because they knew it wasn't fun and had no benefit to the player, but they didn't want to completely scrap it because they'd done all that work on it up to that point, so they just kept it at 10 so they didn't just completely waste their time. But you see, that's the problem with this trophy, because it's just an utter waste of the player's time. I mean, these two dumb trophies are something that you'll probably just unlock naturally when playing through the game, and you'll get your first chance in the Operation Pants level, which is a stealth-based level, as the Smurf has lost his pants as they've just basically run away from him, and you have to get through the level sneaking past everyone so no one sees you in your boxes to try and re-grab your pants before anyone notices. So in this level you'll be walking around on your tiptoes to not make any sound, and you can hide in bushes to avoid the guards. And these levels play out like a kid's version of Metal Gear Solid, and if you stay in the line of sight of a Smurf for too long, they will spot you and you'll get this game over screen where everyone just points at you while ruthlessly mocking you for being in your boxes, and it's here where you'll unlock the first trophy, Did We Forget Something at Home, before basically failing at this level and getting caught for the first time.
Right, wait! There's what?
So after getting a game over and then retrying, if you were to then get caught again in this stealth level, you will then unlock another silver trophy called Some Nice Patterns You've Got There, for basically getting caught again. So you're basically getting 2 silver trophies for failing at the game. So these are just 2 utterly dumb and pointless trophies for just failing at a level's stealth mechanic. I really don't get why they gave you 2 silver trophies for this. This is just a really, really dull game. It's so boring. Honestly, it's so disappointing. The game is just absolutely bland, and by the time the credits started to roll, I was pretty much just done with this game and ready to just leave it behind and forget about it. But I still needed one more trophy in order to unlock the platinum. So sadly I couldn't walk away just yet, as I needed to level up all of my characters to level 20 in order to unlock the last trophy I needed, and seeing as I'd beaten the whole game and pretty much all of the side stuff and still not leveled up a single character, this was going to take me a long time and be a really boring and tedious process of slowly leveling them all up by replaying a bunch of the levels to farm a load of XP off all of the enemies over and over again until I finally unlocked this BS trophy. Sure, I don't mind leveling up a couple of levels, but when you have characters that are nowhere near level 20, you know something's gone wrong there. So I was left with about 4 hours or so of me just farming these expedition missions on chapter 2, the mountains one, which is at the top northern area of the hub world, just playing that over and over again to get XP. And some runs I would barely get any XP at all, and then other runs I'd get loads because it would spawn in randomly the corrupted machines, which would just give me even more XP. And even when I was playing through this game just as the story, I knew there was a problem with the XP, so I was deliberately leveling up the characters to unlock all of the XP boosting abilities, and even then I still finished the game with characters around level 15 or lower, and none of them were level 20. So yeah, I just think it's just too much, and it just kind of ruined an already boring experience by making me grind even more for these level 20s when there's no need to be level 20. There's nothing to do in this game after you beat the story. There's no challenge. It's not like when you level up the enemies get stronger or anything either, so the whole leveling system just seemed a bit, well, it just seemed a bit pointless to me, to be honest. And the journey, the Book and Cordell trophy was definitely the most tedious one to unlock, as it required you to book 30 suspects, which on the surface doesn't sound like too many or even that hard. And to be fair, this definitely isn't a hard trophy at all. It's just a very monotonous one due to what does and doesn't count towards this trophy's progress. The very specific requirements end up working against this trophy, as it just prolongs everything and makes it BS. You see, in the precincts, you play as a rookie cop, and whenever you're out on patrol and you see a criminal, if you can catch them, you can then arrest them and put them in the back of your car and then drive them to the police station in order to book them in and throw them in the slammer. Or, when you're arresting them out in the street, you can go onto the menu and then select the escort option, and an NPC cop will come along and pick them up and book them into the station for you. And whenever you're out on patrol for a set amount of time during your shifts when playing, your preferred option will obviously be to book them in via this escort shortcut, as it's a much quicker method and allows you to stay out in patrol and end up catching more bad guys and having more fun out on patrol. Sure, you do end up with a lot less XP when doing it this way than you would from booking them in yourself at the station, but it's a nice little time save and it keeps the flow of the game intact, so it's just obviously what people are going to prefer to do. But unfortunately, the progress for this trophy only counts if you physically book in the suspect yourself, meaning you are forced to drive back to the station each time to manually book in the suspect at the front desk. Having to do this 30 times for the trophy just adds to the tedium and slows the pace of the game right down. The other option should count, as I've still made the arrest, having to drive all the way back to a single police station in the entire city every time. It's just one big massive ball ache. It wouldn't be. Well, there you have it. Those are some really boring trophies. And I guess it's time to crown the most boring trophy of 2025. The Book and Cordell trophy in the precinct was definitely the most boring trophy of the year, because having to do this 30 times for the trophy just adds to the tedium and slows the pace of the game right down. The other option should count, as I've still made the arrest, having to drive all the way back to a single police station in the entire city every time. It's just one big massive ball ache. It wouldn't be as bad if there were just other police stations dotted around the map, so that you were always pretty much near one, but no, there's just one police station, and it's on the first island of this city. Thankfully though, the map is fairly small, but it's still really annoying to have to drive back to this single police station each time. Another issue I have with this trophy is just how slow progress is due to the vehicles you have, as you can only ever fit 2 criminals inside your car at any one time, so you can't just stay out on patrol catching a buzzload of suspects and then drop them all off at the same time in one trip. You are always then in a pattern of just driving out on patrol, catching a bad guy, then driving around to look for another random crime, catching a second bad guy, and then driving them back to the station to put them both in, before repeating it all again. How boring. While it's always fun to read the trophy name that pops up when you unlock a trophy, another important aspect is the trophy icon, and this next award celebrates just those. So here are the nominees for the best trophy artwork in games from 2025. Nico Dorico's trophy icons really popped on screen, as they are bright, bold and colourful designs that match up well with the actual game. While the images themselves aren't anything truly amazing, I think they're all cute and cheerful enough to work, and having them on those bright blue backgrounds really makes them stand out. I thought that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was just going to be another Christmas shovelware game, but it turned out to be a pretty good platformer game for young kids, and its trophy icons also surprised me. Now, I really like these designs, as they remind me of early PS3 trophy icons, with them being more like sort of actual medals, and the use of the gold, silver and bronze colours for these medals to match their actual trophy types was also a nice throwback, and something you used to see quite often in the past. But what really sealed the deal for me with these icons though was the 3D effect, as they all look like 3D models, and I just think it looks really nice, and it shows that they actually put a bit of effort into the trophy icons in this game. You can tell just by looking at them that Ninja Gaiden Ragebound has some excellent trophy artwork, with these drawings looking like they came straight out of a Ninja Gaiden manga. They are absolutely class, featuring drawings of both the playable characters and the bosses, as well as some of the enemies found in the game, and each one looks really cool, and just like Rudolph, each trophy type has a red, silver or yellow border applied to match the gold, silver and bronze value of the actual trophy. It's a really nice looking list, and one that deserves to be looked at up close to truly appreciate its beauty. Star Wars Jedi Power Battles was a game I had on the PS1 back in the day, and I liked replaying it again on the PS5, as it came with a platinum trophy. The trophy icons in this game are very 90s like, and they remind me of the Star Wars Pogs and Tazos that I used to have as a kid. From the way they use clips from the movie and photos of the actual actors, it's all just really nostalgic, and I personally think they all look really good. It's great to see developers who put effort into their trophy icons, because the artwork is some of the first things you see when the trophies pop. So now it's time to crown the winner of the best trophy artwork of 2025. For me, Ninja Gaiden Ragebound has the best trophy artwork of 2025, and this being a 2D side-scrolling action game, it could have gone an easier route and just had some sprite-based trophy artwork, but instead the developers went above and beyond, in my opinion, making these anime manga styled artworks featuring some really cool drawings of the main characters in the game, as well as all the boss and enemy characters, and even the normal sort of trophy icons like the skulls and the collectibles. They all look really cool as well in this art style. It just looks really class, and I love the yellow, red and silver ribbons on each of them to match the actual trophy types, whether it's gold, silver or bronze. I think that works really well, and these just looked really cool whenever they popped up. I was very, very impressed with these, and that is why Ninja Gaiden Ragebound has the best trophy artwork of any game in 2025. This next award is for something that trophy hunters fear the most: glitched trophies. So here are 2025's worst offenders. Doom the Dark Ages had 2 glitched trophies at launch. The Berserker trophy for acquiring all of the upgrades for the shield and melee weapons, and the essentially unstoppable trophy for getting all 32 of the demonic essence upgrades which you got from killing specific enemies throughout the game. Both of these trophies were broken due to buggy trackers that could reset if you reloaded a checkpoint after getting them, or if you did what anyone would do and simply buy the upgrades as you go along, as the tracker for Berserker was prone to just bug out along the way through your playthrough, meaning that by the time you unlocked the last upgrade, the tracker was broken and the trophies wouldn't pop. The Thing Remastered had 2 easy collectible trophies that were also glitched at launch, which took quite a while for the developers to fix them. The Audiophile and Conspiracy Theorist trophies both wouldn't unlock even after you found all of the save terminals in the game and after you read all of the PC terminals. Luckily though, by the time I got around to playing this game, the trophies were patched, but still, for those that played it day one, they had a temporarily unobtainable platinum on their hands due to these 2 pesky glitches. If I had to tell you what was the most BS part of my Quiet Place Road Ahead Platinum journey, I'd have to say it was the speedrun trophies, as there are actually 9 different speedruns of level sections that you need to beat in order to unlock the 9 speedrun trophies in this game. Yep, that's right, there's 9 speedrun trophies. But wait! It's not because they're super strict with really tight time limits or really hard challenges and sections of the levels. No. It's because the majority of these 9 trophies were just really buggy, as they'd often just refuse to unlock despite me clearly beating the set times by several minutes. And if they weren't doing that, then they'd be causing me to encounter other game-breaking and platinum blocking glitches. The in and out in a second trophy in chapter 9 was where the poop really hit the fan. You see, for this trophy you need to get through the warehouse, turn the power on and then leave within 3 minutes and 15 seconds, which is pretty tight, and you also have to avoid the monster that is lurking throughout the warehouse. And I attempted this one around 5 times on hard difficulty, and no matter what I did, the trophy would just never unlock, but I was definitely a good 40 odd seconds within the time limit, and it just never seemed to want to pop on hard. Oh, and I also ran into this glitch on one of the runs. And there was another problem with this one as well, because I grabbed the mixtape when I first arrived here, which is one of the cassette tape collectibles you need, but because of my deaths from the monster when trying to escape, and all of the restarts I did trying to get this speedrun trophy, I noticed that the mixtape had actually glitched out and was no longer counting. This broke my entire save games files, as even loading older saves before I even got into the warehouse didn't work, as whenever I picked up the tape again from the drawer, it would just disappear and not show the close-up shot of the tape or count as found in my records. This tape just never existed anymore, and it would have meant that I had to delete all of my save game files and start all over again in order to get all of these collectibles, but thankfully I happened to make a backup to the cloud before starting this level, which I could just reload, but even then I had to do it several times because I couldn't do it without dying and breaking that mixtape. What a pain in the ass this one was. Those damn chains and barrels at the end, ugh! Has anyone else had a lot of trouble unlocking the Jedi Master or the Great Municipal Band Trophy in Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles, which require you to beat the game on the Jedi, its hardest difficulty and easy difficulty? Well, I seem to run into a few problems with these trophies because, well, my first playthrough of the game, I decided to go on Jedi difficulty and play as Qui-Gon to beat the game, and thankfully I did unlock the Jedi Master trophy, but unfortunately, it didn't unlock the easy difficulty trophy despite me beating the game on hard, which I find really annoying when these trophies don't stack. So it meant that I had to play the game all the way through for a second time, and after several hours of playing through all of the levels again, I would eventually face off against Darth Maul, only to have this happen as I took him out. Yep, that's right, the game glitched at the very end. So despite Darth Maul being defeated, he didn't fall down that hole so the level wouldn't end, and all I could do was pause the game and quit the level. So I was then forced to replay this level again, and thankfully Darth Maul died right this time and I completed the game, only to find that I didn't get the trophy for beating the game on easy. Despite me selecting the easy difficulty, the trophy just wouldn't pop. So that meant I had to do a third playthrough of the game on easy, making sure I deleted all my save game files and then starting a new game on easy and playing through it all in one session to get this trophy. What an absolute pain in the backside this was. Why are these difficulty trophies so glitched? Oy, that's one glitch too many for me. Ugh. Right, let's crown the winner, shall we? And the winner of the most glitched trophy of 2025 is Doom: The Dark Ages, Berserker and Essentially Unstoppable trophies. It just had to be Doom: The Dark Ages and the Berserker and Essentially Unstoppable trophies, as despite several patches being released throughout the year, with some of them specifically to fix the issue, the bugs still prolonged and lasted for quite a while, as several patches dropped and still no fixes until a July patch 2 months and 6 patches later did finally address the issue. Yet even with that patch, even now people still find their game doesn't unlock these trophies, so the bugs are still lurking in the game's code somewhere just waiting to strike, which is really annoying and puts people off playing these games. I mean, if you're going to put some stupid collectible trophies in the game anyway, you could at least make sure that the trackers actually work. Which is why these were 2025's most glitched trophies. Now it's time for a brand new award where we celebrate the best and worst trophy moments of 2025. So first up is what I think was the worst trophy moment of 2025. 2025's worst trophy moment was the arrival of Tekken 3, Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil Nemesis on the PS4 and 5 stores, as we'd all waited a long time for these PS1 classics to arrive, and when they did, they turned up without any trophies. So that meant I couldn't earn any platinums in some of my favourite PS1 games, which just totally sucked, even if it was expected. And it's just crap because, especially when you realise you can earn a platinum trophy in each of the 4 crappy, twisted metal games they've released on the store, yet 3 of the biggest PS1 games of all time are put onto the service without a single trophy. It honestly just sucks, and Sony, in my opinion, have really shot themselves in the foot here by not making trophy lists a mandatory requirement for putting games on this PS Plus service. I mean, Resident Evil 2 and 3 could have had some really great trophy lists, and we've all just missed out here, and it's annoyed me so much that I just haven't bothered downloading any of these games onto my PS5 in protest. Hopefully 2026 brings more PS1, PS2, PSP and even PS3 classics onto this service that actually have good trophy lists and platinums. And here is what I think was the best trophy moment of 2025. For me, the best trophy moment of 2025 actually started out as one of the worst, as when Croc the Legend of the Gobos Remastered was announced. I was actually quite pumped to replay a PS1 platformer with modern controls and earn some trophies, but the only problem was that when it finally came out, it only had a handful of trophies, and worst of all, no platinum trophy. What were they thinking? Seriously, what were they thinking? No platinum? That's just crazy to me that developers are still underestimating the value of trophies, because the fact that it didn't have a platinum trophy meant that I was no longer interested in this game, so I just skipped it, and it must have angered other people online as well, because months later the developer announced Croc Legend of the Gobos Platinum Edition, which added further improvements to the game, additional extras, while also adding more trophies and a platinum trophy on PS4 and PS5. And honestly, this is an absolute win for trophy hunters. This for me was the best trophy moment of 2025, as it shows some devs do care and listen to the feedback of their customers. Now, if only Namco and Capcom did the same for Tekken 3, Resident Evil 2 and Nemesis. A man can dream, can't he? A man can dream. Next up we have the Worst Platinum Journey Award, and this is for games whose trophy lists just really dragged and kind of sucked all of the fun out of playing the game, and by the time I'd got all of the trophies, I was well rid of it. So here are the nominees. Ghost of Yotei on PlayStation 5 is the sequel to the excellent Ghost of Tsushima, a PS4 game that I absolutely loved, but for me the biggest problem with Yotei is the simple fact that Tsushima already exists. So when platinum Ghost of Yotei, it very much felt like I was doing Tsushima all over again. The game and platinum journeys are very similar, and when I've already spent 40 plus hours in a very similar looking and playing open world, having to do it all over again from scratch to get this platinum just really started to drag. And it didn't help that the story wasn't as good as the first game, and it had lots of filler bits in it. Or there was those frustrating parts where you'd finally chase down one of the Yotei 6, fight them, only for them to then get away as you've beaten them. Those bits just left me feeling like I'd wasted my time here, and the trophies also did the same, to be honest, with the endless amounts of collectibles in this game for you to grab. I was chasing down foxes again, visiting hot springs again, chopping bamboo again, finding shrines and climbs again, and again it all just felt way too samey, and none of the trophies or challenges in the game kept me interested, because I'd done it all before. And while it's by no means a bad game, it just, for me at least, lives in the shadow of the original and didn't do enough to keep things different and interesting, so it just ended up becoming a pretty dull platinum journey, which is why it's on this list. RoboCop Rogue City Unfinished Business was another sequel to a game I loved that ended up disappointing me in 2025. Now, I do think RoboCop is a great game, but when I played Unfinished Business at launch, it really did feel unfinished due to all of the bugs and glitches I encountered while playing. And yeah, sure, some of them were wacky and crazy glitches that were pretty funny the first time I saw them, but when they happened over and over and over again, and when bigger and worse bugs appeared the more I played through the game, it really began to start to sour the platinum experience. There were lighting issues in some levels that made missions twice as hard because I couldn't see where the hell I was going, and even progress blocking bugs in some levels that prevented me from picking up weapons, leaving me unable to clear out enemies and progress through the level. Platinum the game, hell, just even beating the game became a problem thanks to these bugs, and while the trophies themselves are fairly simple, offering little replay value or fun challenge as there wasn't even any difficulty based trophies, it did become annoying because despite being an easy platinum, the journey was ruined by all these bugs, and it turned what should have been a fun, breezy run through a cool movie licensed game into a tedious and tense playthrough where I was worried about what bug I'd encounter next around every corner, which has kind of just made me think twice about buying a potential sequel, at least at launch. Shadows of the Damned, Hello Remastered. Now, I've never played the original PS3 game, but after beating the remastered version, I sure as hell have played enough of it now, because this game forces you to complete it 3 times for the Platinum Trophy, as the difficulty trophies for beating it on hard, medium and easy difficulties do not stack, which is just complete BS, as the game is only really good enough for 1 playthrough, certainly not 3, as it's just a linear third-person shooter that gets old pretty quickly. These 3 trophies, plus the ones for getting all the upgrades, really caused the Platinum Journey to outstay its welcome. If this had been a Platinum that you can beat once on hard difficulty and get some cool kill-based trophies along the way, as well as upgrading the weapons and doing some missed challenges, I'd have played it once and had a pretty good time, to be fair, but it's not. And this being a remaster, it really should have made those 3 difficulty trophies stack, as people had the same complaints about the original. In the end though, this is just a pretty lazy port of an okay-ish PS3 game, but it's not one I'd recommend to anyone anytime soon. Mafia the Old Country's Platinum Journey mostly consisted of picking up collectibles, which is never fun and is the main reason why it makes this list. The game has over 150 collectibles for you to find while playing, and even chucks in several more types of collectibles that don't count towards the Platinum just to get in your way. You'll have to find 50 mystery foxes, 13 photographs, 20 saint cards and 50 newspapers, which are placed within missions and the game's open world map. It was the collectible hunting in the open world that was the worst part of the journey. As well, it was just a big but admittedly pretty map of the countryside, with very little gameplay in it. I mean, seriously, the gameplay there for me was just pressing the button to pick up the collectible and then driving towards the next one, sometimes using the map to try and awkwardly find my way to it. And unlike Mafia 2, which had cool cars, a great setting, good music to listen to while you're in the cars, and the ability to actually shoot and be chased by police and other things, Mafia the Old Country is just really bare bones, and the story just wasn't as interesting as it could have been either, and gameplay wise the shooting was just average at best. Oh, and then there's the tedious knife fight mechanic that is so crap, it'll make you wonder why the devs forced this gameplay on you so much. Each fight is the same, and for me this was just another dull Platinum that I couldn't wait to be done with. Well, it seems like 2025 was full of some pretty dull, glitchy and annoying Platinum journeys, but which one was the worst Platinum journey of 2025? The worst Platinum journey of 2025. Winner, Ghost of Yotei. So, I was torn between Robocop and Ghost of Yotei, but unlike Ghost, Robocop can actually be fixed, those bugs can be removed, and the Platinum journey will get infinitely better. Yet with Ghost of Yotei, the game itself for me was just dull. Despite some small changes and new weapons, it's very much the Die Hard 2 of game sequels, as it feels repetitive as a game and Platinum Journey if you played the original, as this game can never escape Tsushima's shadow. Ghost of Yotei isn't a bad game, but it was done better in the original for me, and when you have endless amounts of collectibles to grab again in this game, and find even more pointless ones like the one for bowing at random locations, it all just left me feeling like they had just ran out of ideas with this game, which is why Ghost of Yotei was the worst Platinum Journey of 2025. And as the show nears its end, it's now time to crown the most BS trophy of 2025. This award is for those trophies that just really take the biscuit with their BS requirements in order for you to unlock them. So here are the nominees for the most BS trophy of 2025. For me, the most BS trophy in Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles was hands down the Unlimited Power Trophy, which required you to beat level 14's Survival Challenge, which challenges you to face off against 100 enemies without dying. And the mistake I made with this trophy was using the character I played through the story and leveled up with, Qui-Gon, as this mission went about as well as Qui-Gon's character select photo shoot. Seriously, Qui-Gon, over here mate, the camera's this way, everyone else is facing the camera, yet you're leaning to the side. What a fail. So after failing miserably to kill all of these 100 enemies with Qui-Gon, I exited the level and went back in to pick a different character. And this time I started to have a look at some of the special characters you unlock in this game, and I decided to use this big brute guy, who's one of the bosses in the story, as he packs quite a powerful punch, and I thought he'd be a bit stronger to easily kill the droids. And while the first 20 or so droids went down without much of a problem, this guy couldn't really do much with the bullets, so he was no good. So I decided to use a character that had a weapon themselves, and I picked this droid because it had a big ass bloody rocket launcher to use, but the problem was trying to fire the damn thing without the enemies rushing me. But once you got into a rhythm, you could easily dispatch a load of droids before they even got near you, wiping them out with ease with the rocket launcher, and honestly this was the character I thought I was going to complete it with. That was until I faced off against the same rocket droids, who had a nasty habit of pinning me down with rocket after rocket, which was really annoying, but they were the least of my worries, as when I came up against the roller droids who were just machine gunning me, I really started to struggle because the rockets were pretty much useless against these, because it would take so many rockets into them before they would get destroyed that I would end up just dying trying to hit them. So maybe I could use those same destroyer droids who just killed me to complete this mission, and well, that seemed to be working really well, and I actually got down to around 40 enemies left, thinking this would be really working well, as I would get past the rocket droids and the roller destroyer droids really quickly with these characters. Yet I would then get to these enemies who just would always bloody block and just not let me be able to shoot them, which would then cause me to take damage and eventually fail this mission with 40 enemies left. Obi-Wan, the other Jedi, and even Darth Maul would also fail during this mission because I just couldn't kill all of the enemies without dying, and the game only gives you one health pickup throughout the whole entire challenge, and if you die just once, you'll spawn right back at the start of the mission with 100 enemies left, even though you can clearly see at the top of the screen in the middle you have all of your lives. So if I have all of my lives, why can't I just continue from where I were? Why do you have to reset me? It just doesn't make sense, and it's just really dumb. So what I had to do in order to beat this challenge was first go and start a brand new game on easy, and then pick Padme, because she has a pistol that you can just basically shoot all of the enemies with before they even get near you, and if you can do that, you'll eventually get down to the final few enemies, and once you kill all of them, you'll unlock this trophy. And honestly, I didn't want to beat it this way, but this level was just so friggin' annoying. Why give me lives if it resets my progress? I may as well just have one life. It doesn't make sense. The Croft 2 Racing Trophy, which requires you to drive ahead of the guide's jeep into the gate and into the last tunnel. And this trophy right here probably gave me the most trouble out of all 65 of trophies in this game, and it's just a simple little bronze trophy where you race this vehicle, and there's two parts to this, and both are hell. So here's part one, the race to the gate. So straight away the BS hits you on this challenge because it starts off with you trying to drive up this narrow corridor and getting ahead of the enemy vehicle, but the corridor is just really tight and you'll end up clipping off the walls or off the enemy vehicle and just coming to an almost standstill while the enemy car just flies up that ramp like it's nothing. Because this challenge is wonky as hell and it can screw you over at any given opportunity. Speaking of getting screwed over, look at this guy, he just clips me into the wall and I just stop dead, whereas he doesn't lose any speed whatsoever. It's just absolutely BS. This AI is not affected by any sort of physics in this game at all. Seriously, this guy you're racing against just doesn't give one solid F. And if you're in front of him, well, he doesn't care because he'll just drive right through you. I mean, look at this. I was driving here and my car just suddenly stops. And then the next thing I see is the enemy vehicle's just phasing through me as if it's Kitty Pryde from the X-Men. What a load of crap. The Rocket Has Been Completed trophy is unlocked by helping the robots rebuild the rocket ship found in the white space hub world of the shadow part of the game, and you do this by finding 80 nuts and bolts that have been scattered all over the hub world. We're talking down a dark alleyway, in the water, up high on buildings, hidden in corners, up on hard to reach ledges, underground, you name it. There's probably one or two of these suckers hidden somewhere like that in the hub world. So yeah, it's a simple but oh so annoying collectible trophy, and while 80 isn't as bad as it could have been, it still is rather a lot to find, and Sonic Team have made several mistakes when it comes to this trophy and collectible type that just turns this into a slog. Firstly, the map is absolutely awful, and none of these bolts are marked on it or even ticked off once you've found them. There's no power-up or treasure map that you can buy or unlock to reveal all of their locations either, so you are forced to just run all over the white space on land, sea and air to try and just spot them naturally, which is just BS. And as you can imagine, it might not seem that bad in the beginning, as you'll regularly spot one or two as you move around the hub world's levels. However, when you get down to your last 5 or so of these bolts left, you'll really wish the game tracked these and let you know their locations, because good luck trying to find those needles in a giant haystack that is the white space hub world. Oh, 80. I have 79 out of 80, and I have no idea where the last one is. This is yet another annoyingly BS collectibles trophy that for some reason in Sonic X Shadow Generations I am tasked with running around collecting nuts and bolts as if I'm Ratchet and friggin' Clank or something. Why, Sega? Was the Chaos Emeralds, medals, keys for the chests, and then actually using said keys on the chest to open them in order to get the music, character bios, artwork and all the other junk collectibles not enough for you, that you felt the need to add yet another collectible for this stupid rocket that these dumb robots are trying to rebuild? I mean, I've already spent hours grabbing all of the other collectibles in the game, so we may as well just pad out the runtime further and make me waste even more time doing Ratchet's job, mightn't we? What's next, Sonic Team? Are we going to have to find precursor orbs or magic mushrooms in the next Sonic game for The Baron has fallen, long live the hero trophy in Nico DeRico The Magical World requires you to beat the final boss without taking any damage, meaning you can't get hit once. And as this is the final boss, you can imagine this is going to be one of the trickier trophies in the game to unlock. And one of the main reasons is because this fight is long, and I mean long. It starts out with a short 3D platforming section as you run down towards the boss, and then you have a 2D side-on fight with the boss, which is a really dragged out battle that will take quite a while to get through, because it takes ages for you to get a chance to be able to hit him. After doing that, you then have this chase sequence where you have to climb up while avoiding this acid to get to the second part of the fight, where you'll fight the Baron again in a 2D section, and here there's some deadly traps that will easily get you hit if you're not careful, and the whole thing will take about 6 minutes to beat. However, this could be even longer or shorter due to the RNG nature of this boss fight and whether or not he'll do certain attacks multiple times before you can get a chance to hit him. So trying to string all of this together was pretty brutal and took me quite a while to get it down, and I was just failing constantly at this because every time I would replay the fight, something would go slightly differently. He would do a different move at a different point, and it would kind of catch me off guard. And those lasers in the second set of the fight were just really tough to try and figure out a way to dodge them every time. And while at first this boss fight seemed like a good challenge, the more I replayed it trying to get through it without taking damage, the more I realised just how BS this fight is, because this level just seems to be broken. The more you replay it, the more BS you'll encounter. Like this one here, right at the beginning, look at this attack. So here, for some reason, he's fired 2 shots at the same time, so I've got a small and a large plasma ball that I can't dodge under or jump over, forcing me to get hit and making me restart the level again. on one of my attempts, another BS thing happened because I got past the first stage of the fight taking no damage, and I was feeling pretty confident at this point. But during this climbing sequence, something weird just happened because this area can glitch out quite a few times. You'll see bombs floating in the air and enemies falling down, but here, as I got up to this section, the game just froze. Yep, that's right, it just crashed, and I had to turn off the game and restart. So that was another failed attempt due to the game just screwing me over. And a lot of the times when I'd get to the second stage of the fight, the boss wouldn't even appear up here at the start. He would just be invisible. I could hear him fighting, but I couldn't actually see him, and that was really off-putting too. I still wake up in the middle of the night having nightmares about unlocking those trophies. I swear, they were terrible. But there can only be one. So here is the winner of the most BS trophy of 2025. It had to be the Croft Team Racing trophy from Tomb Raider The Last Revelation remastered in the Tomb Raider 4, 5 and 6 remastered collection, because this just sucked. This was a simple bronze trophy that was absolutely made completely BS due to the actual wonkiness of this level and its design. The controls for Lara's Jeep suck. The vehicle handling in this game is absolutely terrible, and having a trophy based around racing this cheating AI vehicle is just absolutely stupid. You just can't keep ahead of it without the car behind you cheating and forcing its way into the front, and you'll spend hours and hours trying to get through that gate legitimately, when I just implore you to use the saves and save scum your way through it. And even once you get past the gate, you've still got the second half of the challenge where you have to race into the exit, and that is full of loads of these pitfalls that are really awkward to dodge. But of course, that Jeep that you're chasing just goes through it perfectly. There's other enemies that will throw grenades and try and blow you up, so you can easily get destroyed here before you even get to the end. And then when you get out into this open like sand dune bit, you'll be bouncing up and down and slowing down, and he just flies forward, and again he can just drive straight through you as if you're not even there. That for me is just utter BS. And while the Nico Jericho one was more challenging and did have some glitches of its own, the level was kind of working for the most part, but there were just a few glitches with it that shouldn't have been there, whereas this Tomb Raider 4 level is just broken anyway. They never fixed it, and they should have in this remastered collection, because this trophy attached to this level and this challenge is utter BS in its current state with this cheating AI. And now there's just one final award to give out tonight, and that's the award for Best Platinum Journey, to celebrate those games who have a trophy list that is just above and beyond the rest, offering a fun, challenging and really cool experience. So here are the nominees for the Best Platinum Journey of 2025. I really didn't like the first few hours of Chronos The New Dawn, as I just wasn't vibing with the story and the combat, but after sticking with it and pushing through that dull opening, the game only got better and better as I played, and as I started to upgrade the inventory and my weapons, the game really began to shine for me, and by the time I popped the Platinum Trophy, I absolutely loved the game. This is very much a Dead Space clone with a trophy list that is very similar to the Resident Evil series, which is a franchise that I think has the best trophies of any game. And while Chronos The New Dawn doesn't do anything particularly new, it's a solid game with a solid set of trophies that has a good mixture of story, collectible, combat and difficulty based ones for you to try and unlock. Best of all, the hard mode playthrough was made super easy thanks to New Game Plus, allowing you to actually change the difficulty level, so this ended up being a simple 2 platinum playthrough. One to get all of the collectibles and misc trophies, and then a second playthrough to get the hard mode done while mopping up anything else I just happened to miss. Proving that even basic trophy lists can still turn out to be really fun. Tomb Raider Chronicles is a much more basic and shorter game than its predecessors, and for me, the Platinum Journey was all the better for it. I platinumed Tomb Raider Chronicles in under just 2 days of playtime, despite there being 50 trophies that I had to unlock. Most of the trophies were for doing various misc tasks within the levels, and they were pretty fun to do for the most part. Whether it's doing mini speedruns, performing triple somersault dives into water, stealthily creeping your way through bases, or getting through areas without taking damage, each of these trophies was short and sweet to unlock, and a fun challenge to do, with only 1 or 2 of them being a little tricky or annoying, like trying to get that coin before that sea creature gets you. That one was a pain. The levels in this game though are much shorter, so while you still need to get all of the collectibles in a single playthrough, which is still an annoying trophy, it's the easiest it's ever been in this Tomb Raider, and as there's only a handful of levels to beat, it won't take you as long. And if you go into this straight after platinuming Tomb Raider 4, having a breezy platinum like this in Tomb Raider Chronicles to follow it up was a real treat, and it was my favourite game out of the 4, 5 and 6 to platinum. Black Myth Wukong was a game I platinumed way back in January this year, and I had a blast playing this game, and that was despite the stresses of the collectibles and all the missable trophies as part of this platinum journey. This was a game that demanded perfection, and you don't just platinum Black Myth Wukong, you have to conquer it, mastering its gameplay mechanics and systems. To get through all of these really hard fights, it's honestly a really tough platinum with many really hard boss fights. Even ones that aren't proper bosses are still tough, but they're just so cool, and the combat's just really fun that you're always just pushing forwards to see what exciting boss fight you're going to encounter next. Split Fiction, while not as good as It Takes Two, was still a really fun game to experience and earn the platinum in. There were only 21 trophies for you to collect in this game, and it only took me 1 playthrough, which could be beaten in around 15 hours. There's only 1 collectible type in the game to collect too, which was really good. It was just those benches, but even then there were only 6 of them, so it's really easy to find them and keep track of them. There was also only 1 story trophy, which you get at the end of the game, and outside of the trophy for finding all of the side missions, the rest of the trophies are unlocked for just goofing around in the game's world. Seriously, I played for about 5 hours before we unlocked our first trophy, and it was really fun when we would just be messing about in a level, like when I turned my partner into a chair and a trophy just pops. It's an easy platinum that encourages you to stop and just explore, try things, and that is honestly what I liked about it, as it's a really refreshing and unique trophy list and platinum journey. Well, I hope you've all enjoyed tonight's show. That was a bunch of really great games with really cool platinums there, but there can only be one winner. So for the final time, let's give out an award. Here is my pick for the best platinum journey of 2025. While I had some really amazing platinum journeys this year, like Call of Duty Classic, Medal of Honor, Trepang 2, those platinum journeys were only really defined by a single trophy for beating it on the hardest difficulty. The rest of the trophies were pretty dull, and while Chronos The New Dawn doesn't really do anything particularly new with its only trophy list, I think the whole combined experience just got better and better as I played through it, and like I said earlier, by the time I'd completed my first playthrough, I absolutely loved the game. It helps that the trophy list is inspired by the Resident Evil games, which is a game series that I think has hands down the best set of trophies in any other game franchise, because those are just really fun to unlock, as it gets you to try new things in a game that you didn't really think was possible, making playthroughs where you can't heal and things like that. And Chronos The New Dawn does do a little bit of that. And while it doesn't go to the same lengths as a Resident Evil game, it was still a really fun experience, and I loved the whole Dead Space style gameplay to it, and it kind of reminded me a little bit visually of Returnal, which was another game that I thought looked really cool and had a great aesthetic. And while Black Myth Tomb Raider, and even Split Fiction had a greater variety of fun and interesting trophies that got you to do a variety of cool challenges within the levels, there were a lot more annoying trophies in those games' lists. And while for me, Chronos The New Dawn, it just had a list that kind of did play it a little bit safe, and I'm not really selling it here as the best Platinum Journey, I know, but bear with me. While it did play it safe, all of it was good. There wasn't really any terrible trophies in this game, which was why I never made a BS trophy episode specifically about a trophy. I ended up talking about how hard mode is easy because you can switch in New Game Plus, but that is a benefit really because it saves you from being frustrating. There wasn't a terrible trophy that was just really badly implemented or anything like that. They were all just perfectly fine. They all worked, and sometimes that's okay, you know. Not every game has to be the trendsetter that does something new and interesting. We can have games like this that come along that just have a solid, fun experience, you know, solid gameplay that works well, that doesn't really push the envelope and revolutionise anything, but it's still really fun to play. And for me, this was that trophy list. It was a standard sort of trophy list, but it was still fun to go through. And for me, that was why it was my best Platinum Journey of 2025. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed these trophy awards. Happy gaming, and I'll see you at the end of 2026 for the next trophy awards.